This time on Custom Works, too loud, too low, who knows? Let's get to the workshop. Okay then, so this time on Custom Works, as promised last week, we're going to be taking the Meat Wagon out for a cruise. We're going to see how it handles, see if that anti-roll bar has stopped some of that sort of rock and roll ride that it had. And also we're going to be taking a look at that noise flap. So we're going to make it handle better and sound better and drive better, all on this episode of Custom Works. Meat Wagon is really quiet when it's running. It's like so quiet because it's got a full exhaust system, but I'm thinking for the show field, maybe we need a little bit more, something a little bit more raucous. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make one of those flaps that, you know, you can have full exhaust or loads of noise. So what I've got this intake off of that boat anchor of a Jag engine that I had a while back, and this has big flap and lever that's sprung to operate it. So I'm thinking this is a good base for what I need. And then what I've done with this is using, you know, the method of like dirty hand scanning. I made these two little templates that show me where the holes are. I did that for both sides, and then I've transferred those into 4mm plate and made these flanges that now will bolt on to this thing. So I've got that and that, and now I can attach stuff to this. I've got some tube here, and you know what, with old exhaust that's, you know, not rotted through, always keep it. You never know what size you're going to need, one to slot over another, and, you know, so you can just clamp it on. And that enables me to make all of this on the bench and then bolt it in like a shop bought item. But hey, this is Custom Works and there ain't no shop bought items. What I'm now going to do, I'm going to put this onto one of, I think this side, I've got to probably check. And I'll weld that into there, and then the old exhaust will go in and out of there, and then when that's closed it will be all quiet and nice, and when it's open it will be all raucous and crazy. And from this side what I'm going to do is build a piece of exhaust that comes out and out through the skirt of the running board. I'm going to weld this together, then we'll have a look at how it's going to look actually on the car. So then, I'm going to mount this on the downpipe, maximum volume, showground use only, and I'm going to mount that in there, and then I'm going to run out of hands here, but I'm going to mount that in there. This will slot into this exhaust, and this does go over this. I've already cut a section out, so I know this pipe fits over that nice. And then I'll bring from here, I'll go down there, out through there, and we'll have raucous exhaust, and maybe just for the racetrack a little bit more power racetrack. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be raucous, it's going to be cool, it's going to sound like because it's only a diesel, you see, and they're always quite quiet. But I just think as it creeps across the showground, you know, we need to let people know the meat is coming. Oh yes. check it out, yes. So we've got, that's where the exhaust gases are going to go through, but we'll be able to go and so on. So now all I've got to do, make some slots in here so I can get some clamps on there. Probably actually get some clamps, I don't think I've got any. And then also make the bit that comes off of here, but that's just a wobbly piece of pipe really, so shouldn't be any problem, he says, at this end of the job. So then, just to have a bit of an offer up, that's where it will go. So all I've got to do now is cut this back a bit. It should slide down there and onto there, and then just clamp it onto these. Which I will give a bit of a clean with a bit of 40 grit, just so we get a, you know, sort of like a decent clamp onto there. And like I say, this pipe literally fits over there like the proverbial glove. So it should all be pretty cool. Right, and so here it is. I've cut out a bit in the old exhaust pipe there, just so I've got some sliding room, and hopefully this is just going to slide on really nice. And then I've got this piece of pipe go off of here at whatever angle we need to go to take it back to start thinking about where we're going to exit it. So, see if this fits. A little bit harder than I thought, but it's on and it's in position. So all I've got to do now is clamp it up, and what I might do, I'll probably pull it down this way, get some paste on here, and pull it back this way, get some paste on here, and then clamp it up. But for now, what I need to do is just find out where the exhaust's going to go. I'm thinking like some sort of side exit for the loud pipe, so let's have a look at that. Right, so I've just got to cut a bit of this off. Now this is stainless, so I'm going to use the angle grinder. Really, the Sawzall on stainless, it's like a blade of cut. Well, it probably is on this as well, but I think they're dearer. Anyway, I'm going with the angle grinder. Two pieces of tube we've got quite a bit of difference there in size. So what I'll do, I'll bash this end round and then weld that in there. I'm really doing this with what's laying around. This is what's laying around, so this is how it's getting done. I will go outside as well and just check that this is right. Mock it up before you cock it up. That's the way to do it. Yeah, that looks like it's going to work. Let's get back to the bench. Okay then, so we've sort of squinted that down a bit. It fits in there a lot nicer, and I'll be able to get a nice neat weld around that now. Probably could have just filled it with weld, but this is a lot neater and nicer way of doing it. Although, if I really wanted to do it really neat and really nice, I just would have bought another bit of tube that size. But, you know, sometimes you've just got to work with what you're working with. And if you just buy it all off the shelf, well, that's just buying bits. So what I'll do now, weld around there, that'll slot on, that'll stick out the side, and the car will go... That's what's going to happen. Okay, so that doesn't actually fit. I've got to take this in an inch, and that's why I tacked it and didn't just seam weld it from the start. Wow, thank God I didn't seam weld it. But just grind those off, move that up, tack it again, and it should be just right. I'm going to drill through the skirt of the running board just here for the exhaust to go through. I'm going with a slightly bigger hole than I need, because I'll probably put like a trim round it. And what I'm hoping to do is get the point of this drill through there and then drill it back through this way so it doesn't damage too much. But damage, you know what I mean? This car's like all about the damage. Yo! The moment of truth, will it all actually fit together in the tiny space it's in? So, this does seem to want to... Well, it would look like brute force and ignorance has got us there. So now just to set that all so it's in like really in the right place, because I've got plenty of adjustment now with twisting, etc. And then clamp it up, and then we can see how it sounds. Okay then, so I'm going to be in even more shouting mode than normal. But let's see what all that work was for. Now, admittedly, this probably does need an exhaust mount on, because the tip is really flapping about, but let's have a look. And as you can see under here, I'm going to have to put a mount on that just to stop that. But when we pull this, you can't really hear much from here, but if we go out there, what I'll probably do is just weld a bobbin mount on there, but that's for another day, because as you can see, my God, it is cold out here. So I'm going to call it a day for today, but I'll be back under the car, weld the thing on there, and then oh yes. Right, and so it's the next day, and I've made a sort of linkage up. So what I've used is, this is a height adjuster off an electric seat. It's got a thread, and as we come around here, that thread winds this in and out, and that will open and close that. At the minute, Lee is in the car. So Lee, open up the valve. And there we go, that pulls it in, and by now that will be loud. And then we come to the stop, and that's it. That's open, and then we just push it in, push the thing inside again. And this is now closing the butterfly valve. And that is it. That's the quiet and loud. Let's just call it the loud switch. Right, and let's have a look inside the car and just see how that operates and see what kind of switch we got. So inside, and this is a switch, so it's a momentary switch, so it always clicks back into the middle. So it's on, off, on, and let's just have a listen what it sounds like. So there it is, and it's closed, and we pull it back to open it. Oh yeah! And that is a loud button, all done, and all wired by the Messiah of Wire, hot rod legend Lee Cox. Right, so the exit for the loud pipe, it comes out of like the skirt just here. Couldn't bring it out of the fender because that's where we fill up the gas tank for the appliances in the back. But it comes out of here, goes straight down and exits underneath the vehicle. Like, I was thinking of just having it straight out of the skirt to the running board, but of course it's diesel, so it'll just blacken the side of the van. And this is the van where the meat's going to be sold, so we couldn't really do that. So just this 90-degree bend and out the bottom. seemed a really good solution, and that's held really rigid now by the rubber bobbin on the inside, so all is looking good. So let's get out, let's get it on the road, let's see if all that work fitting that anti-roll bar, all those brackets and all of that has paid off and made the Meat Wagon handle a little bit better. Let's take it to the road. Right, and so we're going to back the van out and see if we can get it out of my particularly sort of pitchy and rolly drive, and hopefully this is going to work. My God, it's cold as well. Right, come on Lee, bring it back. Lee there, feeling the full benefit of those enormous wing mirrors that are super cool. Right, yeah, come back. Right, we're at the critical bit. It might scrape a little bit, but hopefully we're going to be okay. But don't forget, we've got that big metal protector there to protect it. Yeah, that's pretty good, a lot better than it was before. I'm going to check out the front. And that is an absolute result. We got out, a little bit of scraping, but the skid panels protected it, and it's definitely a lot higher when it's up on the air. But now what we can do is drop the back for its driving position. Right, and so that's it, it's up at the minute, but now we're going to drop it down into its cruising mode. So Lee, drop it down. Yep, that's all good. And now it's in cruising mode. Take it away, Lee. Park it up. And there it goes, literally like it's hovering down the road. Okay then, so now we're going to take it for a drive to see if we've stopped it rocking and rolling. So we've tested for the scrape. Now we've got to do the rock and roll. Let's go. So driving the Meat Wagon now, like before when I went for the MOT, every time I went round a corner and this side leant down, the whole running board was scraping on the ground, but hopefully we've fixed that. So here we go, handling test. So this instantly feels better. I'm going to do a left-hand turn, and this is a turn where we were scraping before. Just going to make sure the junction's clear. And we've still got a little bit of scrape there, but we are riding really low at the back, so if I bring the back up a little bit, it should raise that up and we shouldn't get too much scrape. So another left-hand turn there, and we've definitely got less scrape. And the whole car seems to drive a lot better. It just feels like more like a taxi now, rather than feeling like a brick on a blancmange. So I'm going to try another left-hand turn here. and it is so much better. Hard right. The whole thing just feels a lot more sort of stable, poised. Is that a word you use? I know, you know what I mean? It's not a Lotus race car, but definitely it is a hell of a lot better. The anti-roll bar has made just a world of difference. Another thing we did find as well, one of the shock mounts, I don't even know how the shock absorber was being held, but it was really bad. It's just a massive sort of rotten hole, and the shock was just waggling around in it. Obviously that is going to, you know, have made a huge difference to the handling of the car. And even down in that dip, the front now clears, and the back is probably going to scrape a little bit because we can't have the back super high, because of course that makes the front lower. But now we can get in, and the skid plate protects all the back. That could just skid forever like that. And in it goes. So into the worst drive ever. And I reckon that, you know what, if it'll go into that drive, it will go into any drive and over any sort of bump, where now we have discovered it handles like an entirely new vehicle. So much better thanks to that anti-roll bar. Okay then, so that's all for this week, but next week we're going to be looking at some of the finer details of the Meat Wagon, finishing off that interior, finishing off the back, and trying to get that whole thing done, and maybe even we're going to get the gas test done, which, oh my god, I'm just genuinely worried about. Anyway, between now and then, don't forget, click the bell icon, like, subscribe, all of those different things, and don't forget, we've got t-shirts on Etsy. There's probably about 5 left, so you can grab one right now. Anyway, this has been Custom Works. I thank you very much, and good night.